Offering lakeside dining and 950 labels to include boutique and special edition wines, Marché Bacchus is a hidden gem for wine lovers and foodies alike. Today, we're talking to one of the owners of this celebrity destination, a Las Vegas man whose philosophy is to make wine approachable.
Welcome to Elevate, where we explore the latest in elevated living. Hear from the local artisans, business owners, and innovators who make Las Vegas extraordinary and whose stories and insights will help you live your best life.
This is episode 10 with Jeff Wyatt, co-owner of Marché Bacchus French Bistro and Wine Shop, also available on Google and Apple Podcasts. You and your wife own Marché Bacchus. Tell us a little bit about the wine shop and restaurant, what makes it special.
Let me clarify. My wife owns it. I just work there. No, I'm kidding. 950 labels of some of the best wines in the world and some of the non-collectibles, just everyday wines on a lake. Beautiful chef. Just a fantastic site. Fantastic food. What more could you ask for?
100%, right?
Amazing. So what are you
Rob's
drinking?
Been there.
Yeah,
He knows.
absolutely. It's a great spot. So what are you drinking these days?
Bourbon, scotch, tequila. Wine-wise, it's mostly burgundy, white burgundy. I had this weekend probably a good 5-6 bottles of great white burgundy. So
Awesome. Any just general producers that you're got on your short list?
Grivo, a number of different really good producers, but unfortunately, it's getting hard to find. The Asian markets are just clamoring for these wines, and so it's getting really difficult for us to even get our hands on these things anymore. That's the problem.
Really?
So yeah, even restaurants on the Strip are having a difficult time. Wholesale is having a difficult time actually getting the product to begin with. So from the importers. So it's a different market than it was 6 years ago before COVID.
Yeah, it's and is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Like I know with wine, there's certain years that are better than others, and
good question. We wish 21 was really a tough year in Burgundy. There was early frost and hail, so the crop is significantly reduced. But the quality of what's there in 21 is good. But there's not a lot of it. So what happens? It's a law of supply and demand. Demand is higher, supply is reduced. And guess what? Prices go up a lot. So
right.
What you used to be able to pay $50, $60, $70 for in terms of like Village AOC Burgundies are now triple that price.
Wow.
Double to triple that price. Yeah. And if you can find them, that's the interesting part. So
interesting.
We used to have significant inventory, which now you just wait to find anything you can get your hands on, unfortunately. So, but it's good.
Interesting. Are you seeing that driving collectors to maybe sell? Because it seems like now if they've doubled or tripled their prices,
they drink it. That's the problem. The stuff it's so collectible, and people actually drink it too. So, so what ends up happening is those get consumed, and they look for more, and everybody is just trying to get their hands on some, particularly white burgundy. The reds, yes, but the white burgundy is the ones where we see the dearth of what's out in the market right now. So, but it works.
So let's talk a little bit more about the shop itself. So just to help explain it, since for the people that haven't been there, you've got a retail space. It's got all the wine and both the coolers and crates. You've got a really nice bar that's been renovated recently with all it's onyx, I believe, right?
It's an uplit. Exactly. And
then you've got a lot of liqueurs on the back. What do you have in stock at the bar right now?
Right now, let's see. Unfortunately, I'm insane when it comes to this. 90 or 92 vodkas from all over the world. 90 or 95 gins. Just tequila alone, just an ultra aged tequilas are probably 75 to 80.
Wow.
And each category from there, anejo, reposado, about the same number in all of those. More Mexican restaurants have. This is crazy. 295 brown spirits, including scotch, bourbons, the collectible bourbons and things that people look for. Even the cordial type things, and also the after dinner type items like cognacs and armagnacs and all those types of things. So I think it might even be a little more than 300 now, actually.
I'm getting thirsty.
That's a good bar right there.
Yeah, it's unlike anything you see off the Strip. There's no one else that has this off the Strip, and even on the Strip. Actually, we had some friends in this weekend, and we went to a number of great restaurant bars, and he just looked and said, "Geez, your back bar is 10 times this. I said, yeah, unfortunately, or fortunately,
Yeah,
or the other,
right?
right?
For us, fortunately.
Fortunately, yes, but unfortunately for the pocketbook, it's a little difficult in terms of investment. So, but it's worth it.
Awesome. And to give people a little more lay of the land, so you have the retail shop that's right there with the restaurant. You've got the bar with all this selection. You also have the whole outside dining, which is lakeside. It's literally, there's a lake called Desert Shores in Las Vegas where you can dine lakeside.
Yep.
And one of the things we've talked about before that makes it one of my favorite places to go in addition to the food is you can, what's corkage now?
$10 still.
Still $10.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Inflation's
Right.
how many what percentage?
We love you for that.
It's still $10. So
Right. I mean,
over
for
retail. Yeah.
Right. So your average like restaurant, whether it's strip or off strip, what is it? 3-4x retail?
Most of the outlets at Red Rock are 5 times wholesale. Many places are 4.5 times wholesale. The ones off this, the more local places off the strip are going to probably be 2.5 to 3 times.
Yeah. So here you are. You can pick out an amazing bottle at $10 and now drink it right there.
Over retail.
And you didn't have to pack it from home and pay
absolutely.
$50 corkage on top of that
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's different in that again, it's an experience where it's more tactile. So rather than look at a piece of a ream of paper that basically doesn't give you much information, you actually walk up to the bottle. You view the bottle. You're actually. We also provide all the tasting notes from all the reviewing agencies. If they don't review the wine, I'll give my own tasting note. There's quite a bit of those too. And that's based on me buying the wine, drinking it, and then writing my own notes about it. So what happens is when the person comes in, they have we have 950 labels from the most collectible items all the way down to just everyday drinking wines. So they can walk through, make a selection, take it to the table, or they can ask one of us to actually make a recommendation, which we're all experienced, and we actually ask them leading questions like, well, what have you had in the past that you like? What style do you like? Old world, new world? All these types of questions. And so it helps focus in. Because the last thing we want to do is have somebody not happy. That's never going to be good for anyone long term. And then they take it out to a beautiful patio. We seat 175 people right on the water, as Rob mentioned. It's called Lake Jacqueline, and it's just a beautiful environment. We've got fireplaces everywhere during the wintertime, summertime. A misting system that keeps it same one at Disney World that keeps the patio 25, 30 degrees cooler. So it makes for a really nice environment. It's all glassed in. It's got a removable, retractable awning on the top. So it's a nice place to go to work. Beats what I did before. So let's just say that.
Yeah, and what I love about your wine shop is that you make wine approachable for people.
You have to, yeah.
Yes, and is that part of your philosophy?
That's the
Always
philosophy.
been?
Always been. And you get asked that question often, and sometimes I get asked for parting words, and I use this frequently. I said, great wine doesn't have to be expensive, and trust your palate. What you like is what you like. It's like artwork. You see a piece of artwork, you like it, I don't. So, what does it matter? It's personal. Yeah. But be happy if you like something that's inexpensive. Unfortunately, mine doesn't work that way. So, so that's what I usually tell people. Just if you like it, drink it. It's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. This is not some esoteric product. It's literally, what is it? It's grape juice.
Yeah.
It's grape juice.
Right. Exactly. It's fermented grape juice. So it's nothing that has this mystic quality to it or mysterious quality to it. It's something that's meant to be enjoyed with food, and something you have a great time with your friends with, and hopefully, if you like it, you pick up a case on the way out.
That's right.
At 10% off, by the way. So
Nice, 10% off.
Yeah, on a case buy. Yeah, so.
I like that.
That's awesome. So speaking of, how do you curate your wine for the store? I mean, other than finding what you can even buy these days, you're saying. I mean, what's your?
Well, that would before the pandemic, a lot of times you'd have wholesalers that would actually bring somebody to the shop who's a vendor or someone who produces wine or their representatives. And that is not as prominent anymore. For what reason? Well, we know. I mean, a lot of the Italians weren't traveling. I literally saw some Italian friends who own Avenue Niesi Winery. This is the first time I've seen them in almost 4 years. Okay. And it's the first time they've been traveling to the United States during that time frame. So it was great to be reintroduced to what they're doing and see them again, and we'll bring them back for a wine dinner soon. Yep. So that existed more before the pandemic. Now we search for things and we find who the wholesaler is and go out and get them. That's how it works. And then, as we were talking about the burgundies, which are difficult nonetheless. So that's the predominant way. Or the other way is unfortunately, my wife doesn't cook at all. So, in a commercial kitchen, she doesn't cook.
Yeah.
So, we eat out every night, and I'm tasting things that I don't have in my store elsewhere, which is it's rare that I find something that I don't have.
I see.
And if I do, or if it's something that was of a limited quantity or a sufficiently high price that they wouldn't allow you to taste it, I buy the bottle so I know what it tastes like. So I can explain to my customers when they ask the question exactly what it's like. So that is another way in which we find things. We travel. Just got back from South Africa. Saw a lot of South African wineries while I was there, trying to figure out exactly what we want to do with South African wine, since the penetration in the market in the United States, particularly in Vegas, is very, very slim when it comes to South African wines.
Chenin Blanc kind of stuff.
Yeah, more reds, because the problem is, and I kind of told the winemaker that, is that the problem is you introduced Americans to South African wines by giving them underripe and really not very good pinotage. So when they see this now, they think, oh, that's what it is, and it's not. These wines are they're world class. Particularly from the producer Delaire Graff. That's the wine, the Diamond people, Graff Diamond people. Well, it's a beautiful place, and the wines are fantastic. So we're doing more business with them and trying to get people introduced to these styles of wines. So that's another avenue that we use to actually find out about new products, or products that we don't know about. So we travel a fair bit too. So yeah, all of those things together lets you put together a pretty decent list of wine. So yeah, that's how it works.
So what is one of your biggest wine orders?
Fortunately, I have some business partners that are they're Chinese. They're from China. They live in Los Angeles. They have an export business, and so we supply them with a lot of wine. So let's see, it was 40 pallets. Was it 40 pallets? Yeah, it was 40 pallets of Ace of Spades champagne.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And the whole city got mad at me, because all the clubs like, we don't have any
Ace of Spades. And the butlers got mad at you.
Literally, they were, I got calls from them all. So the guy at Dre's called me the next day and says, what the hell? So we actually had to drive that one over there. Believe it or not, it was about $500,000, yeah. And we had to drive it over there. And so I had a friend of mine who actually we rented 2 U-Hauls, and we're neophytes when it comes to this. We don't know how much this weighs. We have no clue. So they put it on the truck, and we got outside of Baker, and all 4 rear wheels of my unit just blew out.
All four rear wheels.
All of them, blew out. So the rental company is saying, hey, well, we'll just come over there and we'll actually give you another truck. I was like, no. Just 47,000 pounds of champagne in the back of each of these 2 trucks, each truck.
Yeah.
And I finally realized, I looked on the side of the truck, and it says maximum weight cannot exceed 26,000 pounds.
You're over double.
Yeah, we're almost double. So we eventually, it took us hours to get there. It was like a 14-hour trip because we went 40 miles an hour after that. So, and it took me 6 hours to come change the tires. So, but that was the one of the biggest sales. Luckily I have some really big wine collectors. I don't think Don Foreman would mind me saying he's probably one of the biggest wine collectors in the West Coast and certainly in the United States. Yeah. And he loves wine, and he's been a very good friend and a very good customer for a long time too. Yeah. Thanks, Don.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, and speaking of, I know in the past I've come to you with like a budget of, say, hey, I want to spend, I'm not talking about for one bottle, but like, hey, I want to buy 100 bottles, this price range, here's my budget. And then it's been really neat for you to help me curate that, because you're going to, like you said, you're going to ask me like, what do I like, what I don't like, and you're going to introduce me to some producers and maybe different varietals or whatnot that are awesome and also bring a lot of value, because I think a lot of people default to the brand names because they know it and they're afraid to maybe try newer, different stuff because they might just waste the money and waste a good night on a bad bottle, so to speak. So how do you go about, do you provide consulting or curating for collectors or drinkers, or how does that work?
Absolutely. Deepak Chopra is a very good customer, and all of his friends are very good customers. Celine Dion, we provide wine for her all the time. But we get a lot of requests. And also, it's like I tell most of my customers when they start building a wine cellar, I said, we'll help you build it. We'll give you all the whole prices and everything. It's not the cellar that's going to cost you a lot of money. It's filling that thing up once you're done.
Yes.
That's the problem. And so, yes, it's just like in your situation. We're friends, so I kind of have an idea what you like to begin with.
Yep.
But the president of Caesars, Sean McBurney, Sean's a good friend and a customer, and Sean has some different tastes every now and then, so we'll have a conversation. He has a budget, and we'll pick some things, and I can tell him all the time, I said, Sean, you got something to open that you don't like, bring it back to me. Okay. I'll drink it, I'll take it back from you. So we're pretty sure. After a while, you really just ask the right questions, and you get to hone in on what somebody actually prefers. And it's not a science. It really is. It's an art. It really is. And the more you do it, the more familiar you become with it, the better you can understand the response from a client or a customer. And invariably, the last thing you'll ask them is, well, what did you drink at the last time that you liked? And they go to their phone and start taking out pictures because they don't remember the name of it. So,
okay.
But that's kind of how it works for us. And because my challenge a lot of times is somebody will come to me and say, this is what I like, and this is the price point I want to spend. I said, how about if I show you something a little cheaper that you're going to like better? And invariably it works every time. And so you gain a customer for life then, because you've actually, you've shown them something that they liked better. Yeah. B, you show them something that was actually a little less money, And so that's a good thing. Not to say that you don't have these customers say, nah, we can't do that because my friends that are coming to this need to know that what it's worth.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
You know how that is. So, and that's fine too. Even though I try, I say, guys, we can give you some things that are better and it might even be cheaper.
Right.
It just depends. You got to read the client well. That's what it is. So, and that's how it works.
Well, that makes me think of, just as a little tip for all the people that are building homes or maybe are considering wine cellars. Do you see any common mistakes? I mean, a lot of people have these wine cellars that are really like these showpieces with these shelves and glass and whatnot. Yep. What's an issue that you come across?
Well, a lot of times you get somebody who's building a cellar that's an internal to the house. So, I mean, there's no external walls. Okay. It's all surrounded by air-conditioned or heated and cooled space. And then next thing you know, they're putting up vapor barriers and massive amounts of insulation on the walls. It's like, guys, it's not an exterior wall. So you're not going to have this exceedingly warm or exceedingly cold temperature around it. It's ambient. So therefore, you don't need to really extensively insulate that room. It's just not necessary. But if they want to, we'll help them do it, and we'll help them do it the right way. The racking is always a personal thing. It depends if you want something very modern and modular with stainless steel racking, or you want something that's more old world with redwood or oak or whatever that turns out to be. And our contacts are provided either in custom or in semi-custom form. So, and that's just an individual preference, really, is how it works. And so we help them with all those types of things all the time.
Fun.
So what's the most expensive bottle of wine you sold?
It was actually 18 of them. And they actually didn't get sold. This is the problem. You guys knew that there was a car that drove through the front of our building like 5 years ago. Yeah, you remember that, right? So, the infamous day. It was President's Day, 2018. Lovely. Drunk guy, 12 o'clock. Wasn't drinking in my place. Someplace else. So anyway, I had staged 18 bottles of the most expensive wine in the world at the time. And it was not confirmed by me. It was confirmed by the media. It was a burgundy. And it was going to China. And we had already cut the deal, and the wine was being staged in the front with everything else. And that guy came through and wiped it out along with everything else. So the insurance company basically said, we can't pay for this. I said, well, no, my policy said you have to replace it. The only place I can find it is in Indonesia, and it's $21,950 a bottle. Go get it. And they said, oh, here, we'll write you a check. That was that. Other than that, I've got some very good customers in Dubai. They come in and they actually drink this stuff, and it's $7,000-8,000 a bottle. Yeah, easy. Some of the Romani Conti bottles are $16,000-17,000. Yeah. So we get that too. So it's interesting, to say the least.
So now I'm going to change tactics into the restaurant because I love the food that you offer. It's amazing.
thanks.
And you just brought on award-winning chef Bradley Ogden.
Yeah, he's somebody, isn't he? Huh?
He is somebody. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what that's been like.
It's funny. I was the first night he was in one of my wine dinners. I introduced him by saying, "There's a new show out called Love Charlie. It's about Charlie Trotter. It's not about Bradley Ogden." But during the filming of this, part of it was a documentary, part of it wasn't. During the filming of this, there was one of the might have been two other names mentioned, but one of them was Bradley Ogden. So as his mentor and he was his protege. So Bradley started. Well, Julia Child and he are very good friends, and Bradley has a philosophy that's similar to Julia Child. Get the best ingredients you can. Don't go an interventionist and muck it all up. You just treat it properly, simplify it when necessary, and let the ingredients speak for themselves when they're cooked properly using French technique. And that's what Bradley's his motto is. Bradley's a personal friend. His son is a very, very good friend of mine, Brian Ogden, who's in his own right a very, very good chef. So just as was Alex Strata before that, and so is Luciano Pellegrini. All these guys are 3-star Michelin chefs, James Beard Award winners. They work for us. We're friends. That's what we do. We travel together. Yeah. And we knew Bradley from way back in the day at Bradley Ogden and stayed in touch. He was a customer. He came in every now and then too. So when we heard that he was with the Sugar Factory and he was getting a little tired of doing that, we said, well, maybe we need to talk. He came in within 25 minutes. We'd already inked a deal, and he joined us full time. And he works. Beautiful. First week he worked 7 days, probably 15 hours a day.
I don't doubt it.
He's in great shape. He really is. Yeah. And but basically, for people who don't know who he is, Bradley won the James Beard Award, Best New Restaurant in America with Bradley Ogden. Don't quote me. I think he opened it in 03, 04, and that was right a little after that. So I think it was 04, 05, somewhere around there. And he's just a super guy. He's easy to work with. He's very expressive. He's got more energy than I do. It's amazing. And he's just an all around great guy. He's got tons of knowledge and experience on the front of the house as well as the back of the house. So that helps us with managing our front of the house staff as well, and timing of food and all of the delivery of the service. So he's got tons of experience there too. And it's all relevant, and it's all at the best places. He had Lark Creek Inn for the longest time. And he even says, this restaurant reminds him of Lark Creek Inn. So he's going to do a lot of the same things he's done there. And also some of the things he did at Bradley Ogden in our place. He's already added his the world famous blue cheese souffle. It's on the menu. Yeah. But the funny thing is that it's like we say, high tide raises all boats. With Bradley, just him there showing technique it raises the bar. Yeah. So everything. The bar for everything arises when Bradley's around, because he's just got that mentor style approach to things, and people have to respect that, and they kind of clamor for it too. A guy with this great technique and this great knowledge, and you pick up a book and you read anything about him if it's culinary related, because he's one of the forefront of that. So it's good.
I think I know where I'm going to dinner tonight.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Right.
I really am.
Hey, he's off today. But only on Mondays.
So we're keeping a lot of the mainstays that made Marché Bacchus.
Yeah. He's just going to make them different. Yes, exactly.
Very cool.
The original escargot dish that we have was originated from Le Cirque in New York by Daniel Balut and Alex Strata, and it's just, I think, the best. I love your escargot. Yeah, it's the best. I've tried them everywhere, and I think we've got the best. And I say it humbly too, because I do try just to see if anybody has something that I like better. And again, that's a personal preference, as we know. So, and he's already made some fine tweaks to that actually brought a little more acid into it. He's brilliant when it comes to these kinds of things. That and we're going to start our own burger process. Right now, we buy it in a form and fashion in which we tell them to produce it for us. We're going to actually do it in house instead. So nice. Yeah, and so it's going to be a very positive thing. It already has been. He's been with us 6 weeks, and it's already showing. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to my next meal. Absolutely, and he's a good man too. He'll come out and say hi to you. That's awesome. He does that to everybody, so he's a great guy. That's great. He's a personality.
Sweet. So, what's your favorite dish on the menu?
We have a 36-hour braised beef cheek. And it's ridiculously rich. Beef cheeks in and of themselves are just a fantastic food because they just break down the gelatinous, and it falls apart. So that's probably my favorite dish on the menu right now. Yeah,
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, exactly. But they do everything really well. Everything's prepared in house. It's we don't cook off anything in advance. The chicken, it takes a little longer. People do complain about that sometimes, but we don't part cook anything. All the steaks, they're done right then and there. But it's done the right way.
But it's worth it.
Every time. It's worth it. Yeah. In the end.
Absolutely. I can attest to that.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
So what is your approach to the menu as it relates to the wine that you carry?
Well, everything that we, because we're so wine centric, everything that we prepare has to be wine friendly. And the wine has to be food friendly, so it's kind of symbiotic, actually. So, when on my own tasting notes, on the ones that I prepare myself, you can actually see we recommend how you have this wine, how you consume it, with what, maybe just by itself. But again, everything that we make or prepare has to be somewhat wine centric. Again, I think as you sit in our restaurant, you'll probably notice something you don't notice in other places. Almost every table has a bottle of wine. And I go to other places and I look around and I notice everybody's drinking glass wine. But no, in our place, it's so approachable. It's and it's done in a fashion that's so interactive that it takes the mystique away from it, and allows a person to actually experiment and try things. And so it makes it more comfortable. So we have a bottle of wine on almost every single table every night, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's really the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's our philosophy. Make them work. Make them symbiotic. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't belong here, right?
That's great. That's great.
So you had another life before Marché Bacchus.
Yeah.
So tell us about the transition from your prior life to this one.
Yeah, all my friends thought I was crazy. They were all physicians. So 25 years of my life, I was a healthcare executive. So I was recruited here from, I was an executive at Louisiana State University Medical Center. I was running their oncology practices, operations. And so I got recruited here as the assistant dean and chief operating officer for the group practice. So literally I was the head administrator for the university and for the private group.
Yep.
So that was fun. And then I left there and I became an executive for 7-8 states with U.S. Oncology. And I did that. I had Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Arizona, both north and south, and maybe one state, but traveled every day. Wow. Come back on a Sunday, leave on a Monday. Not fun. So I was literally sitting in a restaurant after it was my birthday, actually one of these contentious board meetings, which, by the way this operation was set up, it had to be 100% concurrent agreement to get anything done. So I just tabled everything. It was my birthday. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to go to dinner. I tabled everything, said, we'll see you guys the next day. Yeah. So went out, had a really expensive bottle of wine because it was my birthday, and said this, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. So I called Gregoire Verge, a friend of mine that actually owned the restaurant before. It wasn't what it is now, of course. It was more a small operation. Told him I wanted to buy the place, and that's what happened. And then it's kind of like a dog chasing a car. You catch it, now what do you do with it, right? Because I had never served a person in my life. But a lot of these things, when you run businesses for someone else, and you're particularly aware and cognizant of the fact that they trust you in making decisions, and they trust you with how you make those decisions every day. It translates to your own, because I treated those jobs like that was I owned those businesses, even though I didn't. A principal and an executive and a cog in that wheel, but you didn't own it. This is a little different when it's your money. So I had that mindset to begin with. So the transition was fairly easy. All you have to do is know the metrics and then give the metrics to those individuals that you hire and trust to run those operations. So your manager has his metrics for his labor and other service issues. Your chefs have their metrics for their food cost, their labor cost, and all the other issues too. And the rest of it is basically the artistic part. Do we like this? Do we not? Does it fit in the profile? Does it work on a food cost standpoint? And so not having had experience, they were having had experience managing, my last budget was $4.5 billion. Having managed that, you at least have the tools to be able to manage almost any business. That's why you see many executives coming from different industries today. And there's tons of those examples because a lot of those management skills are transferable. They really are.
Yeah.
And so just to clarify the timeline, it was your birthday. That night you decided I can't do this. So how long did it take? Well, so you can't do what you were doing, but how did it come apart where it's like, hey, I want to get into the restaurant business and I want this restaurant, or how did you?
It was just that place. The only one that's all I wanted was that place. I'd been friends with the previous owner for a long time, and you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Got it.
Apparently, at least from my perspective, I don't know if I was right or wrong, but apparently the proof of the pudding's in the eating because of 16 years. It was a lot of ugly, I thought. So we saw the good as well. And so we said, if we buy this place, we know how we want it to look like eventually.
Got it.
So that was April 24th of 2007. And we signed the agreement in October of 2007. It was done. The check was paid. Everything was done. Yeah, there's a lot of valuation that had to take place during that time frame. A lot of legal work had to be done because I was buying an existing operation, but I didn't want to buy the stock. Excuse me. I take that back. I didn't want to buy the assets. I bought the stock. And the reason I did that was because we didn't want to have to go back to all the vendors again and reestablish new credit. So my lawyers actually like, you're crazy. And I was like, well, no, actually, operationally, this is why you want to do it that way. And they're like, oh, okay, we see it. And so we had to take a little more time to construct and draft the documents that would properly reflect the fact that I'm taking on this risk. And if something occurred that was unforeseen, that wasn't disclosed to us, that somebody else had to pay for that, the previous owner. So it took a little long. I could have gotten it done faster, actually, because the funds were put together fairly quickly. So it worked out.
Well, what's great is it's been this long and you're very much relevant and you just keep getting better and better and better. And we look forward to more.
16 years. Yeah,
it's been awesome.
It feels like yesterday.
That's good.
It does.
Means you're having fun.
Yeah. No, honestly, everybody says, when are you going to retire? I said, this is my lifestyle. This is what I enjoy getting up in the morning time.
That's great.
I enjoy working. It's fun. I enjoy meeting people. That's the best part.
And not everybody has to agree for you to leave the room now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So since you dine out all the time, what are some of your other favorite spots?
We went to Picasso Friday. Went to Cut Thursday, which, by the way, I think is the best steakhouse in America. And I told them that several times.
That is amazing.
I think they think it too. Because it is. I really think it is.
Yeah.
And then Friday went to Picasso. Julian Serrano is a very good friend. Yep. And so we took some friends from New Orleans there. Let's see. Yesterday we went to Amalfi, Bobby Flay's place. It was good. And then the place I eat at the most here in town, we went to Saturday to Cipriani. Yeah, those guys are just good friends of ours. They're just the best. They're just really good guys.
So given that just about every one of your meals probably has at least one Michelin star attached to it, what do you do for lunch? Do you just eat like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
I don't. I don't. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's funny. As a restaurateur, a lot of times you'll see somebody actually sit down and actually your manager will have a meal, at a table with a fork and a knife and whatever else.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, I'll just go grab whatever is back
on
there,
the line.
And I'm standing there working while I'm eating it, and barely half the time, invariably, it's cold or I don't even eat it.
It's the restaurant
they
life.
pick it up and exactly. Yeah. So too much going on.
With F1 coming to town, I know you drive a McLaren. You like fast cars. Who are you rooting for?
Well, the funny thing is, everybody pulls for the Red Bull team. You know that. So, but you want to see the Ferrari team do well. My wife drives a Ferrari, so we don't mind seeing them participate and actually win a few. Leclerc is a great driver too. So, it should be something very good for the city. I have a friend of mine who used to be high level executive of Wynn, Barry Shear. Sorry, Barry, and. We were talking the other night, and I see it more, from a spectator standpoint. Barry sees it from an operator standpoint, and the operational things that he brought up in terms of impact on the strip itself and ingress and egress to all these hotels for not just the 4-day event, but for about a month before that is quite daunting.
It's substantial.
It's significant, and Barry having that operational background like he has, he was like, Jeff, you got people have to start thinking about these things. You've got a month where you got to resurface that entire street. Those barriers have to be constructed. Hopefully they can do it fairly quickly. But when you start to think about, the impact of how you get things in and out of those hotels, and Barry knows that. He's like, it's not an easy thing. So I'm sure once they pull it off, everybody better give him a nice round of applause, because it's no small feat in how we are. Because it's a lot of these, like Austin is a different story. Austin has an independent track.
Yeah.
These are the streets.
Right.
And part of it, the big straightaways on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah, which is
from Spring Mountain all the way
lifeline
up.
of all revenue, tax revenue for this city.
Everything, right? I hope, and I'm going to say this from my own personal position on it, because I've been to other F1 events in Europe, is that I hope that at some point towards the end they make it a little more affordable for the average guy to go to this event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's historical. I mean, it's such a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's how you grow your viewership too.
Yeah,
I mean that show Drive to Survive has really helped them a lot. It really has put them in the forefront of people's minds when it comes to sporting events. But like I said, I drive these crazy cars, and I look at the package pricing, and it's like, guys, I mean, I've been to Monza, and it's a couple of $100 to sit right there at the finish line. So only time will tell. Only time will tell. But I think, you got a significant investment here. What that cost, $275 million just for that piece of property they purchased. Yeah. So that tells you they're here for a long time.
Right.
It's not going to be a 2-year deal.
Yeah, they got a 10-year.
They got to get the money back.
And they won't. Yeah, and they won't back out either, because you've got such a significant investment.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have the world stage. It's done at night. It'll be a big stage for the world to see. Las Vegas. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing.
Yeah.
So people want to come wine and dine and perhaps follow you on social media. Where can they find you?
Sure. 2620 Regatta Drive, Suite 106, big red awning right in the middle of the Lakeside Center in Desert Shores. And our website, www.marchebacchus.com, MARCHE, which means market in French, Bacchus, BACCHUS, got a wine. So we don't care what you call us, just find us.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.